The UK government recently released a game called Pathways, designed to educate young people about political extremism. The characters are meant to represent different types of extremists that they may encounter. One of them is Amelia, a purple haired goth girl who has unexpectedly become a social media star. She's supposed to be a cautionary tale, yet she's been embraced online and even admired in some far right circles. In this video, I'm going to share my views on diversity and multiculturalism as a mixed race woman born and raised in London. My aim is to offer a balanced perspective, not for or against either side. My name is Aruna Matcha, and you're watching The Rational Female. If you enjoy my content, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. I understand why many English people want to preserve their culture and their identity, and by that I mean people of English ethnicity, not simply British citizens. There has been a lot of talk about this recently in the political sphere, which helps explain the rise in popularity of parties like Reform. The desire to maintain national identity is not irrational. Countries tend to function better where there is social cohesion, and many Europeans are now advocating for more cultural consistency. The Scandinavian social democracy model is often cited as successful, partly because it is homogenous. Yet, I'll admit, some rhetoric on the right makes me a bit uneasy. I'm not sure I want to live in a Britain that is entirely white, as I'm not white myself. Where I do find agreement with many on the right is Islam. I have spoken about this before. Islam is largely incompatible with secular liberal Western values, and I have had deeply negative experiences with Islamic extremists in London. I also struggle with how the left constantly appease Islam. I would support any party willing to seriously confront Islamism in the UK, including shutting down Sharia courts and challenging policies that discourage legitimate criticism. When I say I oppose mass migration, I am primarily referring to immigration from countries where Islamic extremist ideology is prevalent. At the very least, there should be rigorous background checks. Of course, many Muslims are good people, and countless were born and raised here. But as a belief system, Islam makes many people in this country uncomfortable. Islam aside, I don't really have a problem with multiculturalism, and this is where I feel torn. I like that I grew up in a diverse city. It shaped me. My mother is Indian, born in the UK, and my father is Tanzanian. We weren't brought up religious, and my family is mixed in every sense. Some of my cousins look white, some look black, and some look somewhere in between. I have two incredible siblings, and our opinions on this all differ. From my experience living in London and studying both in York and in Guildford, the UK is not a racist country. Most white people I've met have been friendly and easy to get along with. Ironically, much of the prejudice I experienced growing up came from other black people who told me I acted white or was white on the inside. Most of my friends in secondary school were white, and I never strongly related to what people called black culture. Being mixed race is not something I really dwell on. Occasionally I do notice it, particularly in fiction. I grew up reading authors like Roald Dahl, Enid Blyton, and my favorite, Jacqueline Wilson. Older white authors tend to write white characters, and when they write characters of color, they usually specify it. When I read J.K. Rowling's controversial book Troubled Blood, I kept noticing her referring to black characters as black and white characters as tall. I wondered why people on the left didn't point that out or make a big deal out of it. I noticed it every time. When are the left ever going to talk about that? Why is a black man described as a black man, but a white person is described by their height or hair color? Sometimes it feels like white liberals are more comfortable with LGBT than they are with race. Still, authors write what they know. I've published 21 books, and my fiction naturally features racially diverse characters because that reflects my world. Writing a novel where everyone shares one ethnicity would feel unnatural to me. It makes equal sense that Jacqueline Wilson writes English characters, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie writes Nigerian ones, Tolstoy wrote Russians, and Murakami writes Japanese characters. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. What I oppose is forced diversity, which is usually pushed by white liberals, or the rise of sensitivity readers, which I view as backwards and creatively stifling. Filmmakers like Spike Lee, Donald Glover and Jordan Peele all tell stories rooted in African American life because that is their reality. Fiction works best when diversity emerges organically, not when it's driven by political obligation. To be clear, I don't think a white author writing white characters is racist, and no, I don't think J.K. Rowling is racist at all. I just think that this reflects limited exposure. Ignorance and racism are often conflated. Not understanding another culture doesn't automatically make someone malicious. It usually means they haven't encountered that culture. What the left often calls racism is sometimes just ignorance. Racism is hostile and deliberate. Ignorance is usually being unfamiliar with something. Many Americans rarely travel abroad, or so I have heard from other Americans. I love American television, but I often cringe at how British people are portrayed in American TV shows. The depiction of British people in American TV shows is so backwards and narrow-minded. My perspective is also not common. Most people aren't mixed-raced or raised in a city as diverse as London. My time in Alcoholics Anonymous also reinforced a colorblind outlook. Everyone is there because we're struggling, not because of our background. We share a common purpose, and that transcends race, gender, and class. Among my friendships, you'll find Polish, English, Indian, Nigerian, all sorts. Dating in London is similar. Half the men I meet are foreign, not English. Someone mispronouncing a name or not understanding black hair care is not racism, it's unfamiliarity. I had the privilege of growing up around racial differences, so this feels normal to me. I have an Asian mother, and I was given books by Indian authors and grew up watching Indian films. Yet I don't primarily think of myself as half African and half Asian. I think of myself as an author, a content creator, a musician, and a woman drawn to politics and ideas. Race is not the most interesting thing about a person, and I prefer not to center my entire identity around race. I believe in freedom of artistic expression. Art should have no boundaries. I view art as a form of expression, and I don't believe in censoring or policing art. That is a key principle of mine, and is one of the reasons why I'm so against wokeism. It's like the new Hays Code. I also write many LGBT characters because that reflects Gen Z and the friends I have had. Familiarity shapes storytelling. I would describe myself as an anti-woke liberal. I'm a classical liberal culturally and for social democracy economically. My latest novel, Tic-Tac-Toe, satirizes identity politics while also featuring a diverse cast. I loved writing it, and I'm currently working on an apolitical teen horror novel that, yes, also features a diverse cast. I'm hoping to start pitching it to literary agents early next year. For me, the most important thing in life is purpose. It provides direction and frankly keeps you sane in an otherwise noisy world.